Greetings and good day. This is The Channeled Truth. I'm your host, Thomas Leichardt, and I love exploring the works of Seth and Jane Roberts, Abraham-Hicks, and Bashar. And with me today, I have a very special guest who loves taking people to contact and connect and harmonize with nature. And he has some really incredible experiences with nature spirits and within nature. And I just wanted to get him on the show because I want him to share these stories because they're an inspiration for me. And I truly believe they will be an inspiration for you as well. So Patrick, welcome to The Channeled Truth. Thank you for being on the show.
Hi, Tom. I'm very happy to be here with you and very, very exciting to talk about those subjects. I think it's a very important way to live if people are feeling the call to live in that direction. Like my experience, it started like maybe 10 years ago when I started to pay attention to nature. And the planet we live, it's so huge that we have no idea about how big it is. And most of the time people just want to travel outside the planet Earth. And we don't know that planet enough. They have so much thing in the planet that it can feed us like very in a beautiful way.
Yeah, so thank you for being on the show. And I know you have many stories, and I actually have some stories too as well with nature spirits and whatnot. So perhaps you can launch us off with an experience that really touched you with nature, or perhaps a story on how you got inspired to reconnect with nature.
Yes, and I will say this, right now for the last few months, it looked like nature and spirit nature are very intense. It's very easy to connect with them, and they're more outside, if we can say that, than before. Because usually I have to go in nature and really sit down and very deep meditation to have a connection with them. But right now you just go out and you see few trees, whatever it's there, they have someone that you can connect with. And it's very fascinating about that.
Yes, I agree because it can be as simple as gardening, right? I live in the city in Silicon Valley of all places, right? And when I'm gardening and I really put my hands on the earth and connect to the earth, things start popping and opening up in my meditational spaces. I start seeing actual nature spirits and I start feeling these interactions with them. And it's like there's this domain of energy all around us constantly. And all we have to do is tune into it, tap into it. And it's very easy, even for those city dwellers, right? Get your hands in the earth, plant some flowers, plant something that grows, take care of it. And it's amazing what will happen, right? And some of these nature spirits, it's like, it's amazing. Like the ones that really manifest for me most are the flying ones, right? The so-called fairy kingdom, I guess, for lack of better words. And I just sense this incredible connection, and it inspires me to set up hummingbird feeders, for example, and to experience nature a little bit more directly, right in the middle of Silicon Valley, right? So anybody can connect to nature.
Yes, you're so right. And we're going to talk about that. The human heart connection. It's so important. And everybody have a heart, like everybody's able to connect with that level. I start to have those experience, and we have many of it. But basically, like probably 10 years ago, I started to do meditation, and you just learn to do meditation with music, with silence, and you're learning that process. And one day I started to leave for work. I'm gonna say an hour earlier, and I stopped to a park, a nature park, and I put my shoes out, my sock out, and I put my feet on the ground, and I was just there and breathe with nature. I was just breathing with nature. And slowly what I started to do is I started to work with my chakra system. I started to learn about the chakra system. It was new for me. And I started to work with the bottom one. I was doing every single day, I was doing a different chakra. Because for me, it was important to see what the difference is, the first chakra and the third one and the heart one and the plexus solar. What's the difference when you put your attention there, you see? I didn't want them all to open at once. I said, no, I want to learn every single one and what happened to them. Like every day I was doing this for a month. And after a month, I'm gonna say I was able just to connect with all of them and just breathe with nature. And something happened I didn't expect. It's like nature responds to me. And today I know for sure that if you pay attention to nature or spirit nature, they will get to a time that will answer your call back. And you can't miss it. You can't miss it because the vibration was so peaceful and that reality started to be more flexible and solid that we used to be. And you used to see that. And I said, wow, this is amazing. Like I keep doing this. I was keeping doing this. And all kind of experience start after I did that. The minute like I said, it's so important that you're doing an action. You call the earth. You're interested. You're honest to connect with her. You want to know more about her. She will respond for sure because she knows you pretty good. And all those experiences start to happen after that. I have some raven come to talk to me. They drop food in front of my door. It was on and on and on and on. And that experience lead me to get more, to understand more about meditation. Like I put my name on a retreat that they call Vipassana. It's 10 days in silence and you learn a technique to breathe and scan your body. And it was pretty new. Some people after 2 days, they just left. It's too intense for them. And I was like, no, it's okay. It's okay. But you get to a beat that you fall in the moment, in the presence, the way they teach you to do the technique. Like they said, you can do the technique after, you don't have to do it. But for 10 days, do it. And you will experience what that means. And through those 10 days, I think it was 3 days after, for the people who know Vipassana, you scan your body with your attention and you go slowly everywhere. I went to the heart, my physical heart, and my heart started to beat so fast. Bang, 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 bang. I started to see vision, very, very clear vision. I didn't really see it before. It was so clear with different connection. And it lasted probably 20 seconds. And it went out. I went out of my heart and I was like, oh, this is so amazing. What it is, what I did. And after the day, you can go and talk to the teacher and ask him a question. And they said, you just have to absorb. Just watch what's going on, keep breathing and just move on and do what you have to do. But it was so intense. It was so beautiful. I said, no, they have something deeper inside the heart that I don't know. And what happened after the retreat, I went home. And for 3 months, Tom, every day, an hour in the morning, an hour before I was going to sleep time, I was going to the heart. I was going back. Nothing. And I said, I know something happened there. It has to happen again. And one day I just do the meditation, just feel that beat, like really a good beat heart. And I said, oh, that's good. And I left to go for work. And that moment when I crossed the door, I saw the neighbor with his little dog. She was always, oh, that neighbor, she's okay, but she's kind of, and the feeling of love that I have for her was like, oh my God, I have a good meditation this morning. I feel the vibe of this heart with my heart, and the dog was so amazing. And I said, wow, like I left like that. And I go to work, and 3 days, 3 days I was like that. Nature started to talk to me. Everything was so like flexible. The flower, the trees, the bird. It was amazing. And in that 3 days experience, so funny because when I came home, I told my wife, I said, you see the neighbor? She said, yeah. I said, I fall in love with the neighbor this morning. She was so beautiful. My wife was like, what? What'd you say? I said, no. You have to understand what's going on, you see? But it was oneness. It was one heartbeat with people. This is what I experienced. And that changed my life completely because I said, if I can feel that again, I can live my life. I can do my day to day. Whatever I'm doing, I can do it in that way. And with time, you understand that people talk about the brain heart. They have a little brain in the heart. It's more powerful, more electrical than the brain. But I tell you, if you connect with that place, you will experience your life in a different way. But not other that. It will expand with nature. because that's the way nature responds to us. It was just amazing. But this is the point. Many people, mystic, talk about the Leonardo sphere, the sphere on the human body, that we live inside our spirit. It's easy to say that, but to see it and experience it, it's a different thing. Because the last 3 days, why 3 days again? You see that tree, number 3. It's very important. I was walking outside with my daughter, and I started to see that jello electricity around me, that I was inside of it. And it was vibrating, and I said, that's it. I'm going to stay like that. What's going on with me? You see, this is the state of being. And the minute I said, I'm going to stay like that, what? Boom. It just disappeared. I was not able to see it anymore, but I really see it for 3 days. Like now I said, what that mean? We really live inside of us. And that connection with that heartbeat and magnetic field, it's just amazing. And this has totally shifted my life in a different level. A big level with nature and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that story. It kind of reminds me what Bashar talks about often, is that our heart emits this electromagnetic pulse, and it travels around the earth and influences and is influenced by the entire field of the earth, right? And in medical Qigong, we have a lot of these ideas and meditations, right? Upper Dantian, middle Dantian for the heart, lower Dantian for the so-called gut brain, right? And we awaken these centers. Usually it's very gradual. What I notice in my students, right, is these gradual awakenings. But yeah, sometimes it's super profound and just really, it's electrifying, right? You have these experiences. And I find often it's like it'll pop open and it'll stay open, and then you kind of acclimate to it. And then it's like, okay, how am I going to integrate this into my daily life, right? And not necessarily like chasing the experience, but just grounding it. I'm sure like just how you see people in nature is profoundly different now as a result. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. And yeah, there's nature offers many opportunities for meditation. Like in Qigong, we do something called, we kind of humorously call it tree gong, right? Doing Qigong with the trees, exchanging breath with the trees, putting your hands on the trees and just feeling. And it's amazing. You start realizing each tree is like a being. It's like you're getting to know a friend, right? And sometimes the trees will be like, I'm surprised you're paying attention to me, right? It's like, oh, hi, like, wow, one of these humans is reaching out. It's like, nature responds, and it's very personal. It's very deep. It's not something, that you think about. It's something you feel, right? It's just this incredible feeling experience. So yeah, I hope people watching this show go out there and make contact, right? And I know you have some even more profound stories. So perhaps you can share a little bit, like before, when I decided I'm going to ask you to be on the show, and when I made that decision, like that night, for the first time ever, I actually had a dream of Sasquatch, right? And I was like, well, isn't that interesting, right? I make a decision to bring Patrick on the show, and here this nature connection pops in, right? Synchronicity is letting me know, hey, something's going on here. So I know you have an incredible story in that realm as well. So I want to open it up for that sharing.
Yes, like we talk, it's all about expanding, and more you go deeply, more she will respond. And I will encourage everyone to do that, because it is your own experience with the planet, with nature. It's you with nature, and this is very profound. Every single day I'm still doing it in a different way, and we can talk about chakra and heart and different techniques. They're all very interesting, but they all have a different aspect of it. It doesn't really matter the technique. I will say go with your feeling and what it's calling you. This is very important. Yeah, and Sasquatch, I know that people talk about Sasquatch. They have lots in Canada and Yukon and everywhere in the world. But it was basically just like, okay, they have Sasquatch. That's very interesting. And like I said to you last time, I was traveling to Sedona for a week. And that was my first connection with them. I'm waiting for the plane, and the plane said, okay, they're going to leave in 20 minutes. And I had that Sasquatch came in my telepathy in my mind. My inner vision was so clear. And it stayed for a bit, and I said, oh my God, that's probably a connection I will have in Sedona. I'm going to Sedona to really tap in the high frequency, and I will be amazing to have those connection with them. And I said, why now? Why did this happen today? And I said, okay, that's okay. Like, anyway, I went to Sedona a week, nothing. Like, I didn't see any Sasquatch. I didn't see anything, no connection, no vision at all. And I said, whatever. I don't know what happened. What the reason? I don't know, but nothing happened there. I went back to Sedona, I will say a few weeks after. It was at night around 1 a.m., something like that. And something make a call that it wake me up. And I have that urge to go outside, that I have to go outside. Something is calling. It's so intense. It's so vibrating. And now, because the connection with nature, the way I'm connect with him, I don't hesitate if something happened like that. I just go with the flow, and I'm just going outside to see. Like, I went outside on the back of my land, and when I opened the door, they have like a balcony with a stair like that. I saw 3 Sasquatch right in the bottom of the stair watching at me. And it was like, I'm probably dreaming and I don't know. Probably I'm still in the dream and I don't know. And they look at me for probably, I don't know, I will see. Sometimes the time, it's hard to say. It feels like 2 hours. It could be 10 seconds. I'm going to say maybe 2-3 minutes, just enough to see them. They look at me. And it was a telepathy feeling connection, deeply more nature. And bang, they left. And I went to the bed again. And the next morning I was talking to my wife about that. I said, how amazing it is. And it starts slowly like that. They came back. They came back with meditation. I walk in nature. They show themselves. And it never stopped, but I don't really know yet if this is going to happen or not. You see, I just go with the flow and I'm relaxing and I'm connecting with nature. I'm walking outside and they might appear. They might come in the dream like you have. But most of the time, it's when I go deeper with nature, they just show up. They just show up.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that story. It's just so inspiring, and it brought the link home for me, the synchronicity of like, I don't think about Sasquatch. It's not a particular interest of mine, right? It's just something on the peripheral, like, Bashar talks about them. It's interesting, but, I never really went deep with it. And then boom, it shows up and I'm like, well, that's unusual. And the only thing difference was the decision to reach out to you. And then we talk later and you tell me that story and I'm like, wow, like, I love that synchronicity, how they show you, things are so related together. Choices we make, doors we open, portals we open because of decisions we make, right? But something, as you're talking, I kind of want to share with the audience because, we start out on this path and sometimes we hear these experiences and we're like, oh, I want to have that experience too, right? But the thing is, what I've noticed and when I've gotten older and wiser is that these experiences find you. Right? It's not like we have to go out there and looking for them or trying to make them happen or think it's going to happen in a certain way or get disappointed because it doesn't happen. It's actually, it just finds you, right? When the timing is right. And you have to really just do what you love to do and act on Bashar's formula, right? Of passion, right? Act on your passion to the best of your ability, take it as far as you can, and have no insistence on a particular outcome. And of course, then stay in a positive state no matter what happens, right? And you just do that. And like for me, I grounded my passion through acting, through creating the show, through choosing to invite Patrick on the show, and boom, something lands in my field of awareness, right? A door opens. It's like I didn't try to make it happen or meditate and will it to happen. It happens because you're grounding your passion, which raises your frequency and it just opens you up to all these amazing, amazing experiences. So I wanted to bring that in, right? As people listen to this show and these stories, is ground your passion, right? Use the formula. It really, really works. And when I was younger and I tried to make these experiences happen, you just meet resistance and it's not the right timing and the door doesn't open because It's not about chasing any kind of particular experience, right? No insistence on the outcome, right? It's such an important part of the formula.
It is so true. It's so true. And sometimes when you have those experiences, whatever, you try to get more and more and more and more, and you start to force the concept. You just have to go and move on, and it will come. Like you said, it will come to you. You can't miss it. I think Bashar say that the only reason you're going to miss it because you're worried to miss it. But if you
Exactly.
don't, you just go with the flow. I think every human heart, human nature, it's about nature and connection. It's there if you allow it. But for me, it was the realization that I send a call to her and she responds. But it take a bit. It take a bit. You see, you have to go patient without expectation, and that's the best thing you can have when you don't have expectation. It will come in a way that you have no idea, but it will always be the best. Always be the best.
Yes, and always in perfect timing, right? Because whatever experiences we're not ready for, they just won't materialize at that time, right? And it reminds me of the Willa Hilakrising meditation, right, that Bashar brings in through his channeling, is this idea, 30 days, right? Do a full lunar cycle of meditating with the tree at your back and the
Oh, he's
running.
talking about that. Okay, I didn't see this one, but that's yeah, it makes sense. You see, it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. It takes time, right? And so it's like cultivating any relationship, right? It's not just like a hit and run thing, right? It's like, no, you show up and just be present and work and just be there, and nature will just gradually in its own timing, it'll start opening up to you. And same thing with tree meditations, right? It's like something we do in Qigong is we ask permission, right? We say, is it okay to work with your energy today, right? Most of the times the trees, you get a very powerful yes or a subtle yes, right? But if a tree's, maybe going through a disease process or maybe it's been severely cut back, you might get a no, now's not the time. And then you might look and realize, oh, this tree's just, gone through some trauma, right? So it's like it's a relationship, right? It's like you're cultivating this amazing connection, and you just show up, right? And like you said, in its own timing, everything has its own timing. It starts popping in, and it's profound when it does, right? It's like, wow, this stuff really works, right? So
It is
yeah.
profound. And the last experience I had with Sasquatch, I think we talked about that. But I want to say that when you connect with spirit nature, they have their own character. You see, they're not always patient and stuff like that. This is funny because it's remember some friends of some neighbor that some are more smooth and so more patient, and some are not at all. They have the character. And we connect last summer with one outside, and he take a bit, but we sensed that something was outside, and my wife was with me, and we finally tapped into it, and we said, just help us to connect more with you. We want to see you a little bit more. And he basically said, hey, look, guys, I have something to do. I have more stuff to do than just stay there just for you guys. And he laughed. Yes. And we started to laugh. He said, hey, this one is such a character, but that's the way it is. And the other one lately, like we said, he came like the cereal Lucky Charm. You see, said my name, you can use Charm, and he's very smoothly, and he take time with us, and we have lots of fun with that little spirit nature.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you brought in that little character from the cereal box, and I think it brings up this point that we perceive them the way our mind interprets their energy, right? So that's part of it, and also their energy is very flexible and malleable, and they're not fixed in form like we are, and so they can change their form as well, and maybe present a form that we can relate to them through that we're familiar with, right? So they're very malleable, very flexible, and also very mischievous or playful, right? In a good way, in a humorous and a fun way, right? But there can be a lot of play, right? That childlike sense of wonder and play and synchronicity, right? If you bring that into the connection, that can really help because that's often the vibration they're at, right? Very playful, right? That serious energy, as Bashar likes to say, serious is in the star system, right? Very playful, very fun.
It is true. More you play with the wild animal, more you play with spirit nature, it bring that game. very interesting, you see. And you have to get involved with that. Not like serious, but not too serious. Just the flow of the game. I have something like last year it happened. I bought some chicken because I want to experience to have chicken with eggs in the morning. And finally, I forgot to close the door one night, and one chicken was getting by a fox or a raccoon. I don't know what it is. Anyway, one was gone. And I have pain of that, but it was the way it was going to happen. And I still have one. But what happened a week after, I left for work in the morning, and a big raccoon just crossed the street in front of my car, and I just hit the raccoon. I was so sad. I parked the car, I went outside. I'm on my knee on the street. What do you think you do? You just go in the front of my car, just hit you. A big raccoon, and I'm like, he doesn't move anymore because I hit him pretty bad. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They have no accident. You're just showing up at the right time just to get you. But the funny thing, I was so happy this morning. I said, this is so cool, that life. And bang, hit the raccoon. The first thing I told him, I said, are you the one who hit my chicken? That's bad for you, And finally, yes, but basically, when you tune in, that was perfect synchronicity. He decided just to go. It was his time, and he decided that I was the right person at the right time to do it. And finally, I take the raccoon and I put the raccoon on the side of the street, just make sure they will go and grab him, and nobody's going to drive on it anymore, you see. And it was like those experiences, you have to bring fun. You have to expand with fun and expansion, and whatever character they use, they will play with you. That's very important.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's sadness and whatnot, but nature really understands this cycle, right? These incredible cycles, and nothing is really ever lost, right? And everything is an orchestration, and everything is in synchronicity, right? So yeah, there was some higher level arrangement that raccoon and you had this experience, right? And obviously it was its time to go at the time, right? So of course that doesn't excuse belligerent behavior towards nature, right? But it's also understanding that everything is part of a much larger cycle, and animals understand this, right? And we humans, we get locked into this like, oh, it's gone, oh, I lost something, right? In the nature realm, it's understood you change form, right? Nature shows this to us all the time with the changing seasons and the cycles of birth and death, right? Everything's just always changing, but nothing is ever lost, right? And that, that opens up a whole other topic with, contact with, spirits of the dead and deceased loved ones and animals and pets and whatnot, right? But yeah, it's a brilliant orchestration, and we can trust that and relax into that and not get so caught in like, the drama of life, right?
No, exactly. An animal know more than us. It was just the time, you see, and I accept that. And I hold his little leg and his little finger like that just until he closed his eyes and it was gone. It was okay. But we
Yeah,
still have lots of emotion with animals, but that was perfect. And it was something that I need to learn in my own way, you see, the way I will react to this.
exactly. These situations sometimes come in as, what does it trigger within us, right?
Yeah.
How does this interaction, this experience help us to grow, right? To expand, right? Especially when it's things we think we don't prefer, right? Come across our path, literally in this case, right? It's like, now how do we work with that? What is that calling within me? Does it mean I'm going to ask those deeper questions about life and death and synchronicity and timing, right? Or am I going to heap, guilt upon myself and beat myself up, right? It's just like, how do we use that? And how we respond or react, right? It gives us clues as to what beliefs we're operating from, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. But a very good exercise Tom I do used to do sometime, and maybe the Qigong, you're doing something different. When you put your back close to the tree, because I realize the back of the chakra that we have are very sensitive to catch energy. Sometimes you just wait and line up, and you feel that somebody's looking at you far away. We have that sensitivity on the back, and most of the time I'm doing this, and I imagine a different breathing tube between me and the trees. And what happened, we start to breathe together at once. It's not me, the trees, it's one thing. And it is fascinating how the trees can bring some story that we kept around him to his entire life, you see?
Yeah, that's kind of a very similar process. I like standing with my back to the tree and just and there's something about the breath. You know, the breath is just there's something about like just dropping into that in and out and feeling this, it's almost like it starts to vibrate with the tree. And you know, here in California we have redwood trees. They're some of my favorites, right? I don't know if you can have favorite trees, I guess. There it is, it's out. Redwoods are definitely, you know, I just feel this amazing resonance with them. They're like antennas, just collecting energy and grounding energy and also Earth's energy coming up through the trees and just kind of broadcasting out. And it's the same thing, you know, you can put your hands on the tree and face it frontwise, or you can do the back, you know, lean into the tree and just let yourself just go into that rhythm. It's like a synchronization, a harmonization. And I know you lead people, right, into nature and you help people connect with nature, right? That's one of your passions, right? So I'm sure you have just a lot of incredible experiences that way as well.
Yeah, it's always beautiful, and it's people are they, we love nature. You know, it's part of us. And but basically, yeah, it's take the time and relax and just to allow those connections to occur. But as far as I know, you have to send the attention to her that she can respond to you. That's what I see most of the time. And you know, many people are not doing any meditation or spiritual work at all, but they just love their plants, their flower, just beautiful because they have a response with them. See, and this is a very important exchange with that energy.
Yeah, for me, it's very simple. You know, it's like those periods where I do gardening and take care of the garden just here, the city garden I have. You know, things just start popping in and it's just like, oh, hey, like this relationship's still here. It's like, hey, we're still here, right? Thanks for dropping in and taking care and you know, being a part of this process of the garden, right? And I also, you know, speaking of synchronicities and, you know, come playing off a little bit about that raccoon again, right? It's nature, it's the universe and the higher mind communicates so much to us through nature, right? It's like we start opening up spiritually and different animals will come, right? In our dream time, in our physical time, like hummingbird is very powerful for me. And I've had dreams of like the hummingbird just coming right into my third eye with the beak, you know, this kind of amazing experiences. And then in physical time, just spending close proximity to them, having them literally just like a foot away from my face, right? Just these incredible encounters, just hovering. You know, hummingbirds can be very bold. You know, they can come and just hover right in front of you and check you out, and you're having an encounter, right? You know, sometimes people talk about, oh, we're going to contact intelligent life out in the universe. Well, we can make contact right here at home, right? With these spirits, and even in the city, these animals that we share space with, right? It's just
Oh yeah,
about
big
opening
time. You
up.
know, like, big time. And for some reason, in the collective, like Raven, it's very a profound connection with human. And when you start, like if you watch Native American, they talk about Raven a lot, and they're showing up a lot when you start to doing that, like a lot. And it's fascinating. Maybe this is another story, but I have a connection with them with the crystal that I was going in the Rocky Mountain, and it felt like nature know that I was going to the mountain with that crystal, and he kind of asked me to do something, and we kind of played a little game that I put the crystal on the a lake on the top of the mountain, and lots of raven came, and we have a connection with native, and it was very interesting. That's a long story, but it was a quite amazing thing. Yeah. Anyway, maybe before we finish that video, I will say thank you so much again. But about the Sasquatch, I don't know what's coming with the Sasquatch and me, if I'm gonna see one in real face to face. But slowly it started to happen. You see, they came to me more in my reality, and they put their hand there. And I think Bashar can explain that more deeply. Like they're probably in a different frequency that I am, but enough to show me themselves because I think he thought they can slip walk, they can shift reality in front of you, you won't be able to find them.
Yeah, Bashar talks about that a lot, right? This whole idea of slipwalking is just shifting realities, right? And it, while he talks a lot about this whole extraterrestrial, the craft, how they travel from star to star, but there's also this kind of interdimensional shifting, and I feel like Sasquatch, that energy to me, it represents this incredible knowledge of all the interpenetrating dimensions that are available right here and right now. And our planet has so many portals and so many openings. It's like when I look at our scientific world, we think we've figured so many things out, but it's like we're studying just one thin layer of physical reality. And just below that and just above that in frequency, there are all these other domains that we're blind to, right? And these connections, to me, that the whole archetypal energy of Sasquatch is just incredible knowledge of portals and interdimensional travel, and they're available right here. You don't have to travel to the stars, so to speak, because I feel like there's another type of travel, like this kind of interdimensional consciousness travel, like or links like vibration to like vibration, and you have these incredible interconnections right there and through nature, right? So it's like a whole nother kind of exploration, and both are valid, right? To explore the stars is a valid experience, and interdimensional is also another valid experience. It's just we live in such a vast, amazing, networked universe, right? Multiverse.
Oh yes, and nature with Earth, it's very unique. And I'm gonna say when you have those connections and you pay attention to the frequency they give up, and you can match them, the peace of it, like it's a different level in nature. So much peaceful, so much like unification, that everything is talking to itself. It's like in perfect flow. I think that's probably why they are here more and more, just to teach us and to show us that it really exists. Not so far away, you see? Not so far away.
Yeah, everything is here and now. And, as you're describing this, the interrelationships, when you slow down and meditate in nature and it's just this amazing synchronicity. And it's just like, what comes to mind are these sacred geometrical shapes and patterns like flower of life, Metatron's cube, and just seeing everything so interconnected and interlinked, and this beautiful harmony, this beautiful harmonic. That's how mind interprets it, like through sacred geometry. All these interrelationships and interlinks, and it's so intricate and so beautiful and so harmonic, and it's so one, but yet honoring all these individual parts and relationships within that wholeness, right? Both the individuality and the whole. It works holistically, right?
That is so nice. I think before we're gonna stop that, Tom, I will recommend to people to experience something, because I'm working as a technician. I'm very logic sometimes with stuff, but I think it's very important for different people. It's like when you try to connect with nature, try with your mind and just relax. And after that, really try with your heart and see the difference. Pay attention to the difference, because they have a difference. And when you tune in the difference, you will have better understanding, and you will have a different frequency and experience, because it's a different resonance. And I think it's good sometimes just to play that little gap to see the difference, you see?
Yeah, I totally agree. And that really, it reminds me of, what we say in medical Qigong, the three dantians, right? The head brain, the heart brain, the gut brain. Play with it with all these different levels of connecting. Find permission slips that work for you, right? Because that's all they are, these practices. They're ways we give ourselves permission to experience more of ourselves, as Bashar so likes to say, right? And practice connecting, thinking, feeling, and being, and putting your hands on trees, through physical contact, or in your living room meditating on a tree, and see, what are the differences, right? Or perhaps make a physical contact with a tree and come back to it in meditation and develop a relationship in different ways, telepathically, right? So yeah, it's important to play, let it be a process of discovery, and definitely not insisting on the outcome and forcing things to happen. So Patrick, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an incredible ride. I love hearing your stories. They're very inspiring. And so before we close things out, I want to ask if there is perhaps a way people can find you. You know, we've mentioned that you like to lead people into nature, and maybe there's a way people can find you online as well if they want to connect or share stories with you.
Yeah, I have a page Facebook they call the Circle of Welcoming. You can reach me there, and I will put some video about connecting with plants and stuff because winter is coming, and we're gonna do some video just to help people to connect with those plants inside the house if they don't go outside too much in the winter. Like I can probably send you the link, but the name is the Circle of Welcoming. They have a bunch of video there. Some are connecting with the hybrid too. Many stuff that I'm doing. You can find it there.
Awesome. Thank you, Patrick. It's been quite a ride, and I want to also say thank you to our viewers for joining us on these journeys of exploration of consciousness. So this is us signing off now, and we will see you in the next episode.